Okay, looks like we are live. All right. So today I wanted to talk to you guys just about a few updates on the podcast, real quick, on what's going on. If you notice, probably behind me, you will see the green screen. And actually, I got a few more things. If you notice, there's like a little bit of a light below me. So I had these studio lights. So I got one of these little lights. I don't know if I'm still playing around with it a little bit, just to kind of give you a little bit more better ambiance. If you see the green screen, like I said, behind me, I've actually I'm gonna start doing that. If you look at my last couple videos, you'll see the video editing is a little bit better. I actually went out and actually got a real good video editing software that I'm still kind of learning. And with the green screen on my last few weekly updates, if you watch them on YouTube, you will notice that I actually had like kind of like a title, just the name of the podcast. I'm gonna start to play around with be able to show you guys stuff on there. So we are continuing to advance and do some really cool stuff. And so what else we got coming up? Oh, with guests coming up this next couple of weeks. On Coming up on Monday will be an episode. I'm gonna be taping actually two tomorrow. So the following two episodes are going to be this coming Monday is going to be David Gornosky. We're going to be talking about Rene Girard's mimetic theory, which I kind of was somewhat aware for a little while before this, but really topically. And in the last couple of weeks preparing for this interview, I've been really reading a lot more about it to get ready for it, and I'm really excited about it because I'm very becoming very taken with mimetic theory. And if let me look up what's the name of the book here, a good book for you guys to start. Um, uh, It is called Things Hidden Since the Foundation of the World. You could find it on Amazon. Let's see. Ooh, actually a little bit pricey, 23 bucks for a paperback, but this was printed quite a few years ago. He actually only passed away, I believe, in like 2014. This was published in 1987. And this was, I'm just been starting this book. I've been reading a lot more, just kind of like academic articles about it. But I think that it's the little bit that I've been reading. I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. And this is going to be a very philosophical coming month for the podcast. Like I talked about, I've been expanding it just beyond like Bitcoin news, Bitcoin wallets, Bitcoin technology, to stuff that some of the stuff it's just because I'm interested in it, like the astronomy stuff. I just did an episode. We're going to do another one in December about that as well, just because I find it interesting. But I think that there is some correlation to it. But also, I'm going to start expanding into like philosophy, things that I think that you may think aren't directly related to Bitcoin, but will help shape your worldview in a way so you can really, we can all really start to understand better what this thing is and its impacts. And I think philosophy is a really big thing that doesn't get a lot of traction within at least the Bitcoin community. So, like I said, Monday is going to be David Gornosky talking about Rene Girard's mimetic theory. We're going to be talking about mimetics again the following Monday. There's a gentleman, his name's Peter Limberg. He wrote a article entitled about mimetic tribes, right? So these tribes that we self-segregate with the advent of the internet, you're seeing this more and more. You see alt-right, you see Antifa, kind of these progressive left, and then SJWs, which some of them are they have some overlap, but they don't necessarily. Then you have the MAGA folks, and you have all these mimetic tribes that are forming, and they are really impacting the world around us. And if this is different, I mean, some of it is similar to what we've always experienced, but some of it is we're seeing this exacerbated and a lot more pronounced in our modern world. And I don't want to give too much away, but in the article they talk about I can't remember the German word. It's not culture kampf, is it? But anyways, it's basically a kind of culture war. This was in the in the early 19th century. This was the term, and this was kind of in the post-religious wars of after the Protestant Reformation, as they were coming out of that, and into the the Enlightenment, and all that stuff is kind of all waning off. But you're seeing there was the struggle between the church and the state, and the state was trying to wrest power from the church. And in that, you kind of saw these culture wars, and we've seen that again over the last 20 or 30 years in the United States specifically, and worldwide as well. And we're going to be talking about that, and I think that you guys are going to really enjoy that sort of stuff, because I think it's going to be very. And feel free to chat as well. If I think you guys are going to really get a lot out of this. And then continuing in this whole philosophy thing, we're going to be talking to Gregory Sadler. He's a professor, and we're just going to be kind of doing a very basic. I probably should have done this one first, but I think if you listen to all three of them, you're going to get a really good feel for just kind of basic philosophy, mimetic theory, mimetic tribes, how they influence our world, and everything like that. And Gregory Sadler, we're going to be kind of just doing a base philosophy, but more kind of talking about Stoicism, the Stoic philosophy. This is kind of associated with the Romans, and we'll discuss more of that in the episode. But Stoicism is starting to see a resurgence in the modern period. If you guys remember, in episode 47, I interviewed Professor John Vervaeke about the meaning crisis in the West. The meaning crisis is basically, as we're seeing all these different institutions in the United States, throughout the Western world specifically, as we've started to continue to reject traditional institutions like faiths, like religions, like things like fraternal organizations. I mean, you don't see a lot of young people in Elks clubs and Moose clubs or whatever, right? Those are starting to fall away. Well, those institutions, even if you think they're goofy and it's funny guys wearing funny hats or whatever, they provided a base foundation for kind of the way that our society and our culture stood on, right? And without these foundations, as a rejection of these foundations, they also provided a base meaning of what is the point of our lives? How do I actually determine meaning, right? You may not be all that religious, but by having a faith, you were able to have kind of a base meaning of, in the Christian perspective, I believe in a God who is eternal love and loves every single one of us and wants us to have eternal salvation, that sort of thing. Provided base meaning. By rejecting these sorts of things, people are searching for it. You see it in CrossFit, you see it in yoga, you see it in vegetarianism, or even carnivory on the opposite side, a seemingly opposite side. But people are trying to find these systems of rituals and practices that previously, in these previous institutions, they provided meaning, and they're trying to recreate that in these sorts of things. With Stoicism, we're seeing a resurgence of that, because people are starting to, go, well, I do recognize that some sort of philosophy. Oops, sorry, I got my fan on here. I'm sorry, guys. Some sort of philosophy is necessary for us to be able to have a meaning in our lives. And I think that this exploration of Stoicism and philosophy in general will be a really good, and this is going to be a continuing topic on the podcast. I'm going to be talking to more people about mimetic theory and philosophy, but I'll start hitting Bitcoin related topics up real hard again here soon. I'm going to be not having debates, but just kind of more discussions about the future of Bitcoin and as far as the technology goes, coming up here as well. So other than that, let me think. The green screens, the video editing, upcoming guests. That's about it for right now that I have for updates on the podcast. Like I just recorded my Bitcoin weekly wrap up, which will be going on YouTube and out on iTunes and all that here tonight at some point. If you guys are going to bed soon, you'll see it in the morning. But as I mentioned there as well, please guys reach out. Please, just feel free to DM. It's really actually important for smaller podcasts like myself to hear from you guys, to see what you like, what you don't like. I'm a big boy. I have thick skin. If there's something you really don't like, or something that bugs you, or just, hey, I think this might work, I really appreciate that sort of feedback. So feel free to DM me, feel free to email me. Um, all that kind of stuff really does help, because I may not change it just because you've asked me to, but if I start to see trends, or if I start to, it gives me something to think about, and if I kind of come to that conclusion as well, it really does help for me to improve the quality of the podcast. So, anyways, thanks for guys for watching, and I'll see you soon.